One of the lifestyle benefits of living and traveling overseas is being able to try all kinds of amazing foods from around the world and upgrading your cuisine. But sometimes you want a taste of home, and today I'm going to talk to you about fast food experiences around the world. This one is largely for the Americans. I've had a couple of Americans ask, like, hey, like, do you have a Five Guys? Hey, do you have like a Wendy's? Like, what can I get if I come over and visit you? Like, is there a Starbucks? I'm going to talk to you about that. Obviously, people all around the world eat fast food. I'm going to do it from the perspective of a former American who lived in the United States who, yeah, you know what? While I enjoy eating street food, eating as a local in countries around the world, whether it's Mexico or it's Malaysia, some of the best foods in the world, I love eating it kind of, you know, the grimy restaurant where the food is just so amazing. It's the hidden gem, hole in the wall. Even eating sometimes at some of the best restaurants in the world, Michelin star places. Occasionally, you want that little taste of home. And if you are from the US, nothing says taste of home like some disgusting fast food. I'm going to walk you through the fast food experiences that you can expect moving overseas to help you get just a little bit comfortable making that next step. If it's your first time here, my name is Andrew Henderson. I'm the founder of Nomad Capitalist. We help 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs and investors legally reduce their taxes, diversify and protect their assets, and get multiple second citizenships to make sure they're always in control of their businesses and their lives, because having options is power. I also host the biggest and best offshore conference called Nomad Capitalist Live. That's open to everybody, whether you're on a Michelin star budget or a fast food budget. You are welcome at Nomad Capitalist Live. And so I will say, you know, I had a friend who coined the term post-tourist, who's like, listen, don't feel ashamed like going to Disneyland in Paris. I mean, never feel ashamed doing anything, but like, you know, don't beat yourself up for going to Disneyland in Paris or going somewhere like really touristy if you've been to Laos, if you've been to Egypt, if you've been to, you know, Paraguay. Like, you know, that's post-tourist. You were a tourist, then you went like extreme, you know, travel, and now you're coming back and like, hey, I'm enjoying something. And I think the same applies to if you go overseas. Let's say I spent a good amount of time in Malaysia. I love the Indian food. I love some of the Chinese food. Just everything you eat there, it's just fantastic. One of the best food places in the world, possibly the best. And you have so many different cuisines. You know what? Occasionally you're like, I want a pizza. Like once a month, once every 3 months even. I think that when you're first starting out, hey, you slide into McDonald's or something more often, and then, you know, many, many years later, you're not so interested. So I wanted to answer the questions of some of you who were like, where do I go and get this? And so one of the Americans we work with was saying that if you can convince someone that the In-N-Out burger is just as good in Timbuktu as it is in Pasadena, California, then that's a step closer to moving. There are no In-N-Outs outside the United States, unfortunately, so that's not going to work. But what else do you have? I will share with you my confession. And by the way, like, you know, I remember seeing Jim Gaffigan when I was walking around Antwerp one day. And Jim Gaffigan, the comedian, does this bit about how like everyone goes to McDonald's and nobody admits it. I will admit that when I lived in the United States and I was younger and, you know, much earlier in my business, I had a friend and we would get in the car at 2 in the morning. We would drive to Taco Bell after I, you know, finished, you know, doing a bunch of work, and we just enjoy ourselves. We'd sit in front of the television with a you know, monstrous drink. You can say people in the U.S. aren't as healthy, and that was my thing. And so I traveled around the world looking for this Taco Bell. I have a home in Bogota. They had 2 Taco Bells in Bogota. They're now closed. They're out of the country. I went to Santiago, Chile a couple years ago. They actually did have one there. It was actually pretty bad. And then in Barcelona, they have one. And then I was in Bangkok for a friend's wedding, and they just opened up Taco Bell there, and they do delivery. And I have to tell you, I went to this wedding, and the wedding was done by like 9:30 at night, and I go back to the hotel, and, you know, like whenever you get to these things, you don't eat enough. And I'm on the food delivery app, and I'm like, this is exactly what I've been looking for. It's been like a year, and I'm hitting that Taco Bell, man. And enjoy yourself. Why not? Just own it. Like if it's a taste of nostalgia, I think a lot of people like get nostalgic when they leave their country, and rather than like saying you're going to go back to the United States and deal with all the social chaos and all the problems and the crazy tax rates to hit the Taco Bell, just go to Bangkok. They'll deliver it to you. Go to Barcelona. It's all over the place. Go to Santiago. If there's a Taco Bell that I'm missing, leave it in the comments below. Another favorite from when I was living in Arizona was this Smash Burger, and they've opened up around the world. And remember, there's one in Panama City, so you can get Smash Burger there. I think they have some in the airports and some in the Gulf region as well, so kind of really nice hamburgers. I guess the much bigger chain is Five Guys. And I will admit, after about a week in Paris a couple years ago of eating pigeon at top restaurants where you have to wear a jacket, I'm like, you know what, I've had enough. of 120 euros for condescension. I'm going to the Five Guys. I'm paying 20 euros for a hamburger and some fries, and I'm eating it in my hotel room like a gentleman. And so they're now in Kuala Lumpur. They're in Dubai, right next to in the Dubai Mall. And so I'll sometimes slide in there when I'm in Dubai, when I'm, after I try all the different Arabic foods. And they're all over Europe. I think it's in Antwerp by the train station, right near where I saw Jim Gaffigan. Maybe we just missed each other, the Five Guys. But you can get Five Guys a lot of places. Shake Shack I see in fewer places. I think in Mexico for sure you've got Shake Shack. But Smash Burger, Five Guys, Shake Shack, your burger needs are covered. Your gourmet burger needs are covered. And obviously you've got different local burger places. Like I think you've got Gourmet Burger Kitchen, like UK and Ireland. I mean, you've got burgers aren't the issue, but if you happen to like one of those and those are the best, then you can get those there. And I can tell you, Five Guys really isn't, I guess, that much cheaper. I guess prices everywhere are going up right now, but like Five Guys isn't really that much cheaper in Kuala Lumpur. I think it's like $8 for a burger. Maybe it's even more in the US. For some people, McDonald's is that they just kind of like roughing it at McDonald's. Nothing wrong with that. Obviously, McDonald's is pretty much everywhere, although you have Montenegro, I think North Macedonia, Armenia, 3 countries that come to my mind where there's no McDonald's. I think perhaps in Paraguay there's no McDonald's. I think in Uruguay there was no McDonald's. So there's a number of countries that are really small places. Everywhere else you've got it. We have someone who works on our team who lives in Skopje, North Macedonia, and every time she'll come to like Georgia or Serbia, it's like, I want to go to McDonald's. Like, this is a treat. And I remember being in Vietnam about 10 years ago when they just opened the whole country chain of McDonald's, and it was a treat. People were lining up, as you would expect, as they do in pretty much every country McDonald's opens, and it's kind of a treat. And so I do think that sometimes in emerging countries, McDonald's actually tastes better because it is like positioned more as that treat. Like I had it once in Serbia not so long ago, and it was just dry and terrible and disgusting. I'm thinking like, yeah, I had this a couple of years ago, and it was just like the same dry and terrible. And maybe it's just too developed of a country. You need to go down the rungs a little bit for McDonald's. I haven't like eaten McDonald's anytime in years at any kind of Western country. In Malaysia, occasionally I'll go twice a year or something, and it's not bad. But I feel like the more of a treat McDonald's is, the better, like in that country, the better it is. And if it's too developed, it's often just terrible. And that's why I don't really go there. One place I stopped going in the United States because it was just terrible was Wendy's, and yet they had, up until recently, the world's largest Wendy's. It's an Ohioan by birth. Wendy's is near and dear to my heart, and it just became terrible. We had the world's largest Wendy's in Tbilisi, Georgia, and they're now building a hotel there or something instead. And so that's a nice place to hit in Georgia. Haven't seen it in many other places. Burger King is also pretty hard to find. You'll see it in some countries like Armenia where there's no McDonald's. Well, they'll kind of go in there and take over that mantle where there's not like a lot of gourmet burger places. Again, in most Western countries, even if you don't have like a smash burger, you're going to have some of the chains, you're going to have like some local place where there's plenty of places to go. So that's a rundown on the fast food. Obviously, you've got a lot of other kind of like American chains or other countries' chains that just aren't that international. I mean, Taco Bell is one that, and by the way, we all know it's not real Mexican food, right? Like we're not fooling ourselves. It is not, Taco Bell is not the same experience as the food trucks on Rio Sena in Mexico City next to the British Embassy. That's about as good as it gets. But, you're not always on Rio Sena next to the British Embassy in Mexico City, so you have to compromise something. You got to hit, you have to get your Americanized Mexican food. And so, all these other like seafood, I don't think there's any like international seafood chains. Subway, by the way, you can get pretty much everywhere, although they're closing a bunch of those. I think you can probably find a better sandwich than Subway. I don't know that Subway has that distinctive taste. So if there's a chain that you'd like us to talk about more, leave it in the comments. Like, what is your favorite chain? You're In-N-Out in the US, not really anywhere else. Obviously, there's new places opening up all the time. Leave your favorite chain in the comments, and we will talk about where you can find it overseas. Obviously, what I'll tell you is, beyond that one time a month when you want that taste of home and you want to get that brand, not only will you find other more local places. I mean, in Malaysia, there's plenty of good hamburger places. Every country, there's plenty of good hamburger places. There's plenty of good pizza places pretty much everywhere in the world. Whether it's local or you'll find like, okay, Pizza Hut, Papa John's. Papa John's is like in Latin America. Pizza Hut and Domino's are pretty much everywhere. I don't know that people are rushing to those places, but you'll find pizzas, you'll find burgers for that 1 or 2 times a month. If this gives you like the vote of confidence, like I can have a taste of home in a new place where I'm going, then that's good, because I think that you will find much better foods if you just venture out. I've helped so many people who are like, no, I don't like Indian food. Yeah, I get it. Sit down and eat this. I don't like spice. That's great. You'll love this. And they come to love it. And then it's like, yeah, I don't want food from where I'm from. If you can bridge that gap by knowing that you have this as a fallback plan, that's a good reason to help you go where you're treated best, enjoy the personal freedom, enjoy the tax savings, enjoy the lifestyle change of living overseas.